848-WABC, where New York comes to talk. 77 WABC.
What are you doing?
This is Jill's wedding song.
Now I remember.
How is Hakeem?
He's nice.
Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC, Sydney. We have a guest on the line.
Big-time guest, political activist, commentator, writer. Some would say antagonist.
I would say warrior in the fight against the Islamic terrorist savages.
I would agree with
How
that.
about that?
She's a very good friend, back for a second time. We love her, Pamela Gellar. Pamela, Bernie, and Sid, how are you this morning?
Hey, Bernie. Hey, Sid. Very well, thank you.
And she writes for Breitbart, by the way. Pamela Gellar, the...
She does. She writes for the racist Steve Bannon?
The pro-Israel advocate, writes for the anti-Semitic
Anti-Semite?
Breitbart.
I know that you actually were on television not that long ago, Pamela, or Breitbart, I should say, talking about that when in fact Trump picked Bannon and all the outrage about Bannon and anti-Semitism and all that. And it's nonsense, right, basically?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's the ultimate projection where you have a fake news story calling Steve Bannon an anti-Semite. First of all, I've worked with him right after Breitbart died, sadly. As you know, Bannon took over, and I've worked with him for years. And he is very pro-Israel, always been a supporter of the cause, always asking me for articles on Israel, so on and so forth, launched Breitbart Jerusalem. I mean, it's so absurd on its face, but this is what they do. This is what the left does. They murder your good name.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm not denying any of that stuff because you know better than me. You worked with the guy and for the guy, and it's probably all true, but then why would he say what he said to his wife? Or you're just basically calling his ex-wife a liar? That he doesn't want his kids to go to school with Jews. Why would he say that?
I have to say that I don't know if you've read through divorce papers.
My wife's a divorce attorney. I know it gets ugly. Yes.
I'm sorry, but that, for me, is not evidence. Anyone that's been involved in a divorce and knows anyone that's been involved in a divorce knows that the worst defamation and libel is flung because the stakes are so high. Someone wants the children, someone wants money, right. And as you know, divorce lawyers encourage this.
Sure,
they
of course.
encourage the worst of the worst. That, to me, divorce papers, no.
Okay.
That's not evidence.
Not at all. Not at all. And given the subsequent history of Mr. Bannon, it certainly it doesn't hold up. Now, Pamela Gellar, you have been become embroiled in a little feud with one Fox News host, Megyn Kelly, after she said this on NPR radio about you. Take a listen to what she said. Hello. All right.
It's coming.
Well, she said that Pam Gellar is a hateful person.
We got
no question.
You know, between the free speech rights that he has not defended and the freedom of the press, which he has not defended, it's problematic. And I mean, I called him out on this back before he even declared his candidacy because he was going after Pam Gellar, who there's no question is a hateful person, who held this Draw Muhammad contest down in Texas. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And they got attacked by two terrorists. Now, she's a provocateur, and she's not a fan of anyone who's Muslim.
All right, Pam, listen, that's a big fat softball headed your way. Hit it.
It's an extraordinary statement by a quote-unquote journalist who's going to pull down $20 million a year. A woman who knows nothing about my work, has never read my book, has never spoken to me, has never had me on a show, but to say no question that I'm a hateful person is extraordinary. What does Megyn Kelly know about my work as a whole? What did she do to help Rifka Barry, the Ohio teenager who was threatened with death because she converted out of Islam? What has she done to help Muslim girls who want to live a free life? What does she know about my work? I mean, it's just incredible that she would say that I'm being provocative by holding that art exhibit. You know, again, out of context, I didn't just decide to hold an art exhibit in the middle of Texas. The fact is, after the Hebdo jihad slaughter, 3 days later, Muslim leaders in this country held a Stand with the Prophet conference in support of the ideology behind the mass slaughter of cartoonists and journalists and editorial staff at a French weekly. They held a conference in Garland, Texas, in that very venue, in that very room, in support of the ideology behind that slaughter. So we held a conference in that same venue, in that same room, in support of the First Amendment. Now, would it have been wonderful for Muslim leaders in America to stand for the First Amendment and freedom of speech after the editorial staff of the Charlie Hebdo magazine was slaughtered? Yes, it would have been. But to call me a provocateur because I'm standing up for freedom of speech, because I will not submit to the violent intimidation in order to impose the Sharia, in order to impose the blasphemy laws. You cannot criticize Islam, or you cannot depict Muhammad. To call me a provocateur for standing for the First Amendment. This is a woman that clearly does not understand the First Amendment. In addition, if I might, the idea that she lumps me in with the Westboro Baptist Church, who go to military funerals with signs that say, "Soldiers die, God laughs. Pray for more dead soldiers. God hates fags. God hates you, and you're going to hell." This is a stunning indictment of Megyn Kelly.
Listen, let me preface this by saying I'm a fan of yours, Pamela, and not a fan of Megyn Kelly. Don't really like her. But the truth is you are a provocateur. And let me tell you why. Because, and you know, this is part of the reason why you're successful. Because you and Ann Coulter, who's also a dear friend of mine, and other folks, people either love you or they hate you. There's a reason why ISIS wants to kill you. There's a reason why you're on that list. So, good or bad, I'm a fan of yours, but you can't act like, you are out there and you're preaching for a good cause, but you are a bit of a provocateur.
Yeah, because we're living in a country that is quietly and subtly adhering to the laws under the Sharia, under Islamic law. Listen, when I was a kid, to draw a cartoon was not considered provocative. I'm sorry.
Listen.
I am not a Muslim. And so I don't adhere to the laws under the Sharia. That you can't draw a cartoon?
No,
I mean, seriously, let's just take a deep breath here.
You're right. Listen, I would embrace the term provocateur. I would take issue with the phrase hateful person is what I would take issue with, because what you were doing, you had a point. Some may say, and it may very well have been the case, that it was dangerous and unnecessary. It did get 2 terrorists killed, thank God, so there was a happy ending to it. But it could have went the other way. And in that sense, some people say it was irresponsible what you did. But
well, again, if you believe in the Sharia and you support Islamic law, that's exactly what you're going to think. I mean, that's just a fact. Comedy Central has Jesus on, and he's snorting cocaine.
Right.
Nobody says boo about that.
That's true.
I mean,
they don't have the courage.
There's Allah on a doormat, and Muslims are offended, and so Amazon pulls it. But Jesus on the doormat, that's still there, by the way.
I think the Fed should do what you did as a sting operation all over the country and kill a few more terrorists. I think it's a brilliant idea.
I agree.
But now you went so far as to take some ad hominem shots at Megyn Kelly. First of all, she should have you on the show. She should have the courage to have you on the show to debate you. If she's going to take cheap shots at a liberal place like NPR that probably doesn't even use the term radical Islamic terrorist. But you talked about her love fest between herself and Michael Moore, and that she's got a man-cut haircut, and you took a little glee over the fact that her ratings are going down the tank. Do you think you should have gone that kind of route?
Yeah. I mean, listen, she took me on. She libeled me, defamed me. I can say what I think. It is a man cut. She did do it to be, she wants to be Diane Sawyer. She wants to be 60 Minutes. She wants to be, in the pantheon of what's left of the gold standard of journalism. I don't think there is anything left.
Hell no.
And which is fine. I love an ambitious woman, but not on the bones and not on the back of somebody else. It was a completely gratuitous attack. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know my work. She's getting $20 million to be a journalist. This is the low state of the fourth estate in this country. This is where we are.
Yeah. Love it. Listen, I got to tell you, Pam Gellar with us right now with Bernie and Sid. Not everybody knows you. You're famous, but every time you're on with us, I get texts. I go, damn, I love this Pam Gellar. I love her. And of course, you wanted Donald Trump to win, which was you're excited about that. But for the folks that don't know you and the history, Back in 2015, Donald Trump, the guy that you wanted to win, and he did win, actually came out and said that you taunt Muslims. He wasn't very nice to you. He said that Pamela Gellar is basically a problem. So for the folks who don't know you, how did all that come to pass to the point where you actually supported Donald Trump in the election months ago?
Well, that's true. After Garland, Donald Trump did say that I was an obnoxious blowhard. True story. And that I was taunting Muslims, clearly showing an absolute lack of understanding of the issue. And no, in the primaries, he wasn't my candidate. I thought that Ted Cruz would have been a better president. That was my candidate at the time. But once Trump won, that was it. I supported Trump.
But isn't it funny, Pamela, that he was coming at you for taunting Muslims, and even you'd have to admit that early on, part of his appeal was, I'm keeping all of them out of our country. That's it.
It was before he said that. And this is what's interesting. Garland led to those remarks, the debate about Islamic law, the debate about, drawing cartoons, all led to the questions by the press of Donald Trump, and then he subsequently came out because there were terrible Islamic attacks and said that we need to ban all Muslims. He said stuff I would never say. I believe that we have to halt immigration from jihad nations. Yes, but the fact is, I don't think he would make that statement today. I think that he's been on a very sharp learning curve. I don't think he would have said the same things. I do think that he has evolved. And the fact is that anyone but Hillary, I mean, if you know what we know about Hillary, she would have been a disaster. I mean, so this wasn't, I mean, Trump is, I was very excited. I was very, very happy. I do think he'll be a great president. I do think that he's not stuck in one place. He's learning. And he's very patriotic, and he's very pro-American, and so he's essentially on our side, where the left, the party of treason, is not.
Exactly right. Bottom line, in a nutshell, you said it there. Trump has evolved, and kudos to you for coming to support him, overcoming what he said about you to support him. Now, just one last thing, Pam. Steve Bannon, Trump's aide, he gets attacked because he ran Breitbart, and they always cite this headline, Renegade Jew, which was written by a pro-Israel author named Jewish author.
It was written by a Jew,
right.
And by the way, he is a renegade.
And the Breitbart, their most popular author is a gay Jewish immigrant by the name of Milo Yiannopoulos. I mean,
I know him, and I love him.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So, in other words, all these attacks that CNN perpetuated and the rest of the media on Bannon over Breitbart, such crap, such fake news. It's actually maddening.
Well, it's what they do. It's what they did to Fox, and let's be honest, Fox is more center than anything else, but because it's not hard left, it's this, fake news conservative outlet. Breitbart gave so many of us, I mean, readers and writers, a place, a platform finally, and it's wildly successful, and so it has to be destroyed. And that's what you're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the fake news and all that is absurd on its face. It doesn't matter. The left-wing memes are not rooted in any reality. It's pure myth-making. It's spin. I mean, it's so interesting to me. The fake news meme is really, again, projection. The real fake news is coming out was all of the stuff they were saying about Clinton, all of the things that they say about me. I have never written a mainstream news story about me and my work that was not fake news, ever.
All right. So 60 seconds ago, we got to run, Pamela. Once again, you were brilliant and great. We know where you stand with the Muslims. Where do you stand with the Russians?
Listen, I don't stand anywhere with the Russians. I'm perfectly fine with them. I think that's fake news, too. Ambassador John Bolton said that he thinks that Obama is behind that whole Russian, false flag nonsense. I don't think that Russia right now is, an imminent threat to me, my family, my freedom, my country. That's what concerns me.
Pam Gellar on the Bernie and Sid Show. My guess is you're not reading Megyn Kelly's book right now, but then again, neither are we. So,
$6 million, and she only sold 150,000 copies. They're licking their wounds over there, baby.
All right, Pam, it's getting the last laugh here on the Bernie and Sid Show. Thank you, Pamela Gellar from Breitbart. We're back after this.